Update here. Good evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila with WFAA. We want to give you the latest 7 o'clock update here on Ida. Hurricane warnings in effect for the southern Louisiana coast. Tropical storm warnings outside of that. Really haven't been many changes in the forecast intensity or speed or anything or track of Ida. The very latest, here it is. It's really starting to develop rapidly and strengthen rapidly in these very warm Gulf of Mexico waters. This is the last 6-hour loop. You can see it's getting pretty close to land. It's still a Category 2 at this hour with winds of 105 miles an hour moving northwest at 16 rather. So it's just about 285 miles southeast of the coast of Louisiana. That is where it's expected to make landfall. And again, it's right now sitting in extremely warm water. Waters of 85 to close to 90 degrees. That's jet fuel. Or high intensity fuel for these hurricanes to develop even further. They'll deepen, they'll strengthen, and that's what we expect. We expect the 10 o'clock update to show a Category 3 hurricane, which is considered a major hurricane. All it has to do is strengthen to winds of 110 miles an hour, and it's there. It's really, really close. So we're expecting landfall sometime tomorrow afternoon, maybe as late as tomorrow evening, depending on the exact speed. We're talking between 12 and 6 p.m., somewhere in that range. We'll have landfall of a Category 4 hurricane. Winds expected to be 130 miles per hour at landfall. Right now, it looks like the center of this will go just west of New Orleans. That puts it in a pretty dangerous spot there. The northeast quadrant of hurricanes, the most dangerous. That's the dirty side of the storm. So big time storm surge, flooding rains, devastating winds of 130 plus miles per hour in the forecast. Here's what it's going to look like. Notice they'll start seeing rain. I mean, they're already seeing some of the outer bands bring rain to the Gulf Coast. The rain will just get more widespread and heavy as we get into tomorrow, especially afternoon and evening. That's when it's the worst of it across southern Louisiana. The worst will continue. I mean, it's going to be a bad hurricane all the way through Sunday night into Monday. It'll start to alleviate, at least for Louisiana. Heavy rain will continue up into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys as we head into Tuesday, Monday night into Tuesday. Could still even be a tropical storm as it moves into parts of Mississippi and southeast Arkansas. 10 to 15 inches of rain, some isolated higher totals. That's the bullseye of heaviest rain in southeast Louisiana. So flooding rain for New Orleans over to Baton Rouge. 5 to 10 inches of rain for a good chunk of Mississippi. That is also going to cause flooding potential for the entire state. So big problems there across Mississippi, the deep south, even the Florida Panhandle seeing tons of rain too. This area, the other problem that we have here, it's not just the immense amount of rain. That obviously is going to cause problems. This area has very saturated soils. They've seen rain. They haven't had any sort of deficit in a lot of rain recently. So you're adding 10, 15 inches of rain on top of saturated soils. That will just increase the flooding potential for these areas shaded in dark green. So that becomes another concern for the Deep South. And of course, as it makes landfall and it gets closer, we see increase in storm surge. Now, storm surge, basically what happens is the intense winds of this hurricane will shift ocean water inland. That's exactly what's happening. It's just pushing 6 to 9 feet of where maybe the normal tide would be. That starts to push up 6 to 9 feet in this area here. 10 to 15 feet. That's where it's expected to max out. That will be south of New Orleans. Right now, from Lake Bourne over to Lake Pontchartrain and toward New Orleans here, it's looking like it could be 7 to 11 feet. That's not quite as high as it was with Katrina. So that's a bit of good news because of how this is coming in. That may reduce, may comparatively reduce the storm surge compared to Katrina, because Ida is expected to kind of come in with a more northwesterly component. Katrina kind of went due north, and that allowed the winds to kind of fetch into this area and really increase the storm surge for New Orleans. So we'll keep an eye on this. Storm surge is a huge danger for the coastal areas. Now, we've talked about the different scales, the different categories. The SAFFIR-SIMPSON scale, I'm going to step out of the way and show you. What's the difference between a Category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Is it linear? It's actually not. It's actually exponentially worse the higher you get. So with a Category 1, you have winds 74 to 95 miles per hour. You see minimal damage with Cat 1s. Nonetheless, you're going to see damage. Tree damage, light, maybe roof damage or siding damage. Then a Cat 2, you start to see extensive damage because winds can hit up to 110 miles an hour, which right now is really close to where Ida is. We expect Ida to become a Cat 3, which is considered a major hurricane here with the next update in 3 hours. That's winds in excess of 110 miles an hour up to 129. You'll see devastating damage with this. Lots of tree damage, power line damage, home damage as well. Then a Cat 4, substantially worse. Winds of 130 to 156. You can see catastrophic damage with hurricanes of this magnitude. And that's what's expected to make landfall tomorrow afternoon in Louisiana, is a Category 4. And I'll be on the lower end of that scale. Nonetheless, still catastrophic damage possible. Then, of course, Cat 5s are just the absolute worst. You don't see those very often making landfall. That's winds of 157 plus, and that causes catastrophic damage in wherever it would make landfall. Bad storm surge damaging winds, and we're expecting that with Ida. 130 mile an hour plus winds in this area shaded in red. So anywhere from Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, all this entire coast of Louisiana, we'll see winds of 130 plus. And then just outside of that, even that, look, 94 to 130 on the outskirts of that. I mean, even all the way over close to Biloxi could see up to 93 mile per hour wind gusts. So a pretty wide swath of damaging winds because Ida will be so large when it makes its way inland. So again, just kind of recapping here at the 7 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Ida is still a Category 2 with winds of 105. It is almost a Category 3 strength. You can actually see the eye starting to become a little bit more well-defined. Pressure has dropped down to 969 millibars. That is a sign of a strengthening storm, and it is now about 200 miles south of the Mississippi River, so getting very close to land. We expect landfall tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you stay with us here at WFAA on all of our social media and web and digital channels. We'll have the latest updates for you for the rest of the night.